Hey everybody, welcome to the Grizzled War Master and
Podcast.
Podcast to Glory, not Path to Glory. Although
See what vacation
we
does to Doug?
are, yeah, this is, and I've had this on my mind because I'm actually been doing some special rules for a Path to Glory campaign we are going to embark on probably in a month after we get back from the SoCal Open.
Yep.
So we may talk about that a little bit here and there on the podcast coming up.
Yep.
But today's episode, you will notice, is a pre-recorded episode. We're not going live because Mike may or may not be available when it's recording time because he's got to take his wife to the airport. So we're just going to be safe, pre-record something.
But the
Been
good
wanting
news
to talk
is I'm
about.
taking my wife to the airport. She's been gone all weekend. But if the house to
Yeah, you
myself, it's going to be crazy.
got a weekend bachelor pad.
I'm
Yeah,
not going to even put on clothes.
All right. But yeah, I've been wanting to talk about the Stormcast Battletomb, so this seems like a perfect opportunity. And just the two new Battletomes we have, just general feels on how this is looking.
Yeah. James
So
and I broke
let's
down
just
the Orruk war clans pretty well last
yep,
weekend. So we have dug a shot at going over his boys.
yeah, uh, yeah. Let's go over some just. This is not going to be a deep dive. I'm not going to go over all the units. I'm not going to we're going to talk about some of the general changes and what's good and what's not in the book, and then just go from there. So we've already seen prior to the book being released that there's going to be two different types of Stormcast armies you could play. You could play the traditional, coming from the heavens Stormhost, or sorry, not Stormhost. Those are the sub factions. But yeah, you can Blaze of Glory. Everybody's gonna have Blaze of Glory, um, and everybody picks a Stormhost. But then if you are I think it's like I forget what the name is. It's something stupid. The new they are, and then the Guardians of the Heavens, and then you've got the Shields of the Mortal Realm. The Guardians of the Heavens are your traditional guys who can be set up from reserve. They come out of the heavens and land 9 inches away from your opponent anywhere you want on the board. And then the Shields of the Mortal Realms have the more like they're a little more robust rules where it's like Redeemer units count as 3 models on an objective, which is pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty significant, especially with the Vindictors. If you get 10 Vindictors on a 3-up save sitting on an objective, they count as 30 models. And with their 3-up saves, 2 wounds each, 20 wounds with that good a save is going to take a while to take off of an objective. So
Yeah. That's got
there
some
is some
staying
play
power.
in there, I think. Yeah. They can also take Cities of Sigmar units as coalition units, so 1 and 4 in I think they're called Storm Keeps.
Yeah.
In the Storm Keep unit or armies can be, you can have the Cities of Sigmar guys. They follow the coalition unit rules. I thought there was one more rule they had, and I don't remember what it. Oh, Oh, and then I guess if they're sorry, it's only in turns 1 and 2 they count as 3 models on your objectives, things that are in or bordering your objective. They've got to be touching your objective, and then or your deployment zone,
Yeah.
and then from round 3 on, it's anywhere on the table. Um,
Yeah.
so they've got that, so that's pretty cool. Um, so I think those both have play. Being able to set yourself up anywhere on the battlefield
Yeah.
is pretty good. But when you compare those to, you compare them to the list of battle traits, allegiance abilities that people like Soulblight Gravelords or the Lumineth Realm Lords got, who were in theory their books were designed for third edition, or at least that's what we thought. They don't seem to follow that route. They get a lot more, and you can argue on the relative strength of each of those, um, but it doesn't seem to measure up. But that's okay. They're good, not fantastic. Some armies have better faction abilities than others, but they've still got some decent ones. So I'm not going to complain too much about it. Where I am going to complain is the Storm Hosts. Previously sub-factions gave you a command, I'm sorry, they gave you a battle trait, which is just another allegiance ability that your army had. Then they often forced you to take a command trait and a particular artifact, and then you also got a command ability. Those are all gone now. Essentially, you just get the battle trait, which is just one rule that stacks on. So, for example, Hammers of Sigmar actually have a really great trait. They have a 6+ ward when they're within 12 inches of an objective. Initially, when they were going through this, and I was thinking about these and putting together armies, I was like, yeah, if you're in the radius of an objective, in the control area of an objective, but it's not. It's double that. So really, it's a 24-inch bubble around objectives, which means essentially the entire center of the board.
Yeah.
Hammers of Sigmar are on a 6+.
Yeah, and it's the size of the boards now and the layout of the different objectives in the middle. And the middle is where the objective control takes place. That is the make or break for most scenarios.
Yeah, for most scenarios, there's those three diagonal, or there's one in the middle, and then two boarding each other, so that there's very little gaps where you're not going to be wholly within 12 inches of an objective. So that is a pretty good ability.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that one. Yeah, certainly better than what they used to have, which was a +1 to bravery. They did, however, lose on a 5-up, you get to, command ability on a 5-up, you get to bring a unit of Redeemers back. But, okay. Next one, the Hallowed Knights have basically when a battle line unit, which is their Redeemers, when their Redeemers die, on a 4-up, they get to fight when they die. They also then would get Blaze of Glory. So they get to fight. There you have a 50-50 chance of fighting, and then a 1 in 6 chance of causing a mortal wound. So you could see some extra damage being done there. But this is not one of my favorite ones, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Celestial Vindicators get exploding 6s on a charge. So, if they charge into battle, 6s to hit, explode into 2 hits, which is pretty good. Anvils of the Heldenhammer have a really weird one. Basically, if there's an enemy unit within 1 inch at the end of the charge phase, you roll 2d6, and if that roll is higher than that enemy unit's bravery, then you ignore the first 2 wounds that unit causes in the combat phase. Which is weird. It's very unreliable. Most non-destruction armies have 7+ bravery. So there's still only a 50-50 chance of that working against most armies. But the meta armies, the really powerful armies, are Death, Demons. Elves actually don't have great bravery, so if you were up against, Lumineth, you could be doing pretty good. Because they're in the 6, 7, sometimes 8 bravery range, so you could be pretty good. But Demons and Death essentially are going to ignore this ability.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because the Anvils of the Heldenhammer are from the realm of Shyish.
Yeah.
So why you would have an ability that wouldn't affect the dead you fight. All right. Knights Excelsior are pretty sweet. They have they make your paladins battle line, which could make your army very elite. These 3 units of annihilators, 5 5
multiple units of annihilators. Yeah.
But if it's a bunch of annihilators, you've got 2-up saves, 3-ups with a Ren 2 3 damage hammer. So that's pretty good.
+1 to hit and wound if they're outnumbered. So
And I believe they have a. I could have swore this thing I'm looking at. I thought they got a bonus when they charged.
I
Yeah,
don't know. They do that, yeah.
get to pick one unit of, you know, getting to be battle line is one thing, but they also, I believe it's when a paladin unit charges or is in combat, they get a +1 to hit and a +1 to wound.
Okay.
So, but it's only one unit at a time, but still pretty cool. And then Astral Templars, they give you Vanguard Paladors and Vanguard Hunters become battle line, which, all right, whatever, those are pretty much crap. So
When they can't be targeted
Vanguard
by monstrous
Paladors,
rampages. I mean, come on.
yeah, yeah, but they do get the Monster Hunter ability, which means they are immune to
Yeah.
Monstrous Rampage. Vanguard Paladors are a little better now because they can teleport
Yeah.
with their mounts. Vanguard Hunters have the ability to come up within 6 inches wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge. I don't know if they got. I think they can be within 6 inches of an enemy as well. No, they have to have an astral compass. So I'm not sure if that changed. I just got to be honest, I didn't look at. They've been so bad for so long. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to their lore scroll.
Yeah.
The theme of this book. Oh, sorry. Let's get back to kind of going in order here.
Okay. Sorry.
The nice thing about the change to the Stormhosts, I mean, it is kind of crap that they just get this one ability and they're not particularly flavorful abilities. Sorry, my shield came off here. Um, they're kind of a little simple, a little boring. Um, but you are free to take a command trait and artifact of your choice. So there is that. The command traits are not great exactly, like shock and awe, which used to be an ability you just got whenever you drop down,
Is it the -1 to hit when
is
you deep strike or whatever?
-1 to hit when you deep strike. And
Yeah.
as far as I can tell, I don't believe they've actually changed it from what was really bad about it. It's -1 to hit the turn you deep strike,
Yeah. It's the.
which means if you fail your charge to get in, then it didn't mean anything. Um, so that's kind of a bummer. If it were for the whole round, it would be way more useful, and people might actually take it. Except for the fact that you have to now, it's a Redeemer unit. Or no, sorry, it's anybody using the Signs of the Storm, but it's it's army wide. So yeah, you know, it's a lit. I guess if you're going to go with I'm just going to take a Lord Imperator,
Yeah.
and every round I'm going to drop something in 7 inches away, so that I'm almost always going to be in. Then you're putting tanky annihilators into something that not only are they on a 2+ save,
Yeah. It
they're
could be.
-1 to hit.
It could be nasty.
It could be a good strategy, but it's not. It's not the best thing out there. Staunch Defender is a kind of a weird one. It lets Stormkeep army units re-roll the number of mortal wounds that Redeemers get. Because Redeemers, that was one thing I forgot. If Redeemer unit gets charged, I think while it's holding an objective, it gets to release some of mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So now if that unit is wholly within 12 inches, you can re-roll how many mortal wounds. Envoy of the Heavens is also another weird one, but kind of good. It's if a model dies within range of the general, which again I think it's a 12-inch thing, then the model's unit gets a +1 save for the rest of the phase. So really good if one of your big units of say Vindictors gets hit by multiple units, or is getting shot by multiple shooting units. Although shooting units tend to be one big block now, not multiple units. But
Yeah.
you could get charged by several different units, and now if one of them does damage to you, the other ones you're going to get a +1 save too. This is especially useful if you're going to get multiple units into combat and you're only going to be able to put all-out defense on one of them. This could help. But the one everybody is going to take is Master
The
of the
Celestial
Celestial Menagerie.
Menagerie, because they're going to take those dragon armies.
Um, yep. If the general is a monster and is on the table, subtract 1 from wound rolls of melee weapons that target friendly Stormcast Eternal monsters.
As long as the general's alive, anywhere on the field. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It'd be great if it was against shooting as well, but this is for taking the dragon army, which we'll get there. Yeah, let's go there now. Everything that is old in the book is outshone by everything that's new.
Yep.
New characters have more wound, one more wound than their old counterparts for the most part. They have better abilities.
Yeah.
A lot of the 3 big named characters all have 4 ward saves, which is great.
Yeah.
That was the big problem
ridiculous.
with the Celestin Prime, in my opinion, was never worth his points because you had to keep him off the table for a long time, blunting his effectiveness. And then when he did come down, he was relatively easy to kill. He'd get 1 good round of just running in and just smashing people with his Ren 3 damage hammer.
And then he got dropped.
And then he got killed the next round. Not always, but often. Now with a 4 ward save, he is totally worth his 325 points. So that was a good change in my mind. But, they go through all of this, like, hey, let's make Redeemers great. Let's make Redeemers good. And then Liberators got the shaft again.
Yep.
Because they're as crappy as they've always been, and now cost like 15 points less than Vindictors, who are way better than them. Yeah. I mean, just there is no
way more than 15 points better.
Yeah, if there is for some reason you calculate out your army and you have 115 points left, then sure, go ahead and take some Liberators. But the likelihood of that happening is almost non-existent. Sequitors are okay, but again, outshined by Vindictors, who are, I think now they basically swapped places, if I remember correctly. Vindictors were 140 when Dominion came out, but when the book came out, they were dropped to 130, which is a good change in my mind, because Vindictors are not as good as Wardens, and Wardens are 145 points.
Yeah.
So they needed to be cheaper than Wardens, and now there are some others like Namarti Thralls who are ridiculously overpriced. They need to be dropped. But whatever the case being, there, I think Sequitors went up to like 140 or something like that. I'll look them up real quick here.
Yeah, Games Workshop loves armor saves, right? And you can tell by the points. If you look at comparative models from other armies, and that if you have a good armor save, the better your armor save, the bigger premium you're going to pay for models that are, in my opinion, just as good. In other ways.
Sequitors went up to 145 points.
Yeah.
And their etheric channeling is cool, but the fact that they don't have it, while they've got shields, but it doesn't give them +1 to save. It just lets you get 5 up ward when you're in combat.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get them against, and I believe it's only against melee weapons. So you're never going to get it against shooting. You've only got 4 up. You only got a 4 up armor save.
Yeah.
They do have their Storm Smite, but Great Maces are pretty good weapons. But you're looking for mortal wounds from the Vindictors not doing a bunch of damage because they're all -1 rend, which we know now is not worthless, but it is no rend basically from AOS 2. So I don't think people will ever take Sequitors now. They're just overpriced.
Yeah.
For what they get out of it. If they had the 5 up ward all the time,
maybe
totally worth 145 points. But not if they're not. So anyways, all of the old stuff is some of it's serviceable. but not great. They are definitely pushing you towards all of the new stuff, all the Thunderstrike stuff.
We're
Their
really hoping that
special
the Star
rule.
Drake would actually be fixed. You
Yeah,
know,
they still Stardrake is still as expensive. And here's the thing: is that crap? He's still as expensive as he ever was, and the ability you took him for that some people thought justified his price, he is gone. He
he's
doesn't have
gone.
it anymore.
Yep.
He can't drop mortal wounds anywhere on the field. He has an actual shooting attack.
And if you
Um,
compare him to some of the new dragons, it's night and
it's
day.
just, I mean, yes, he has double the wounds of one of the little ones, but you can take two of them for half his price,
Yeah, I was gonna
essentially.
say I would take two
So
little.
now you're back up to the 18 wounds. You've got just as good a save as he has if the Lord is riding him. If
And
the
more
Lord isn't
attacks.
riding him, they have a better save. He's got more attacks. Arguably, their breath weapon is better.
Yeah,
It's like, what are you? What
yeah.
is going on? Why do you think this guy is so good? But the
He's a cool model.
knights, um, what is he? Knight Draconis.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's called. The Nitroconus is an amazing model and an amazing buy. He is 255 points, so he's almost the cost of two of the other dragons. However, he does have two more wounds than them, so he's got 11 wounds. Does not bracket, however, despite being over that. He's got 5 attacks with his blade, his Aeon Fire Blade, which is a Rend 3 weapon that does 2 damage. You
and
give him the battle trait that makes all of your guys -1 to wound,
and I want to point
so
out
he's
that
that much tankier.
I know we're talking Age of Sigmar here, but he's only 25 renown points uh, in Path to Glory. So I just want to point that out.
Oh,
The
right.
Nitroconus. You look at his
Yep.
stats, and he's only 25 renown points.
Yeah. He's got a 4. He and all of the dragons have a 4 up to ignore spells, and the effects of endless spells.
Yeah.
Their breath stream is not as good as the big dragons, but still pretty good. On a 1 to 2, nothing happens. 3 to 4, D3 mortal wounds. 5 to 6, T6 mortal wounds. Um, yeah, he's just he makes Stormdrake Guard battle line, and if the once per battle in your hero phase, if Stormdrake Guard unit is wholly within 12 inches of him, and they have not made a shooting attack in that hero phase, they can shoot in the hero phase. So they can unleash their breath.
Yeah.
Now it is only 12-inch range, so they have to be pretty close to the enemy, but that's not that hard because he has what is it? I believe is it? They have the Stormdrake Guard have on their War Scroll an ability. Let me pull that up because this is just crazy. Stormdrake Guard. Where are you, Stormdrake Guard? Because man, you gotta hear this. So they've got the dragons are awesome too. Their dragons have 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2 damage. They can be in a dispersed formation. If the unit has 2 to 5 models, it is coherent if each model is within 3 inches horizontally of another model. Now they do that for mechanical reasons too, because the wings stick straight out. So they had to kind of,
Yeah.
how can we keep these guys coherent in these new rules? And then if they're more than 5 models, then it has to be within 3 inches of 2 other models. So no, not that bad. They have, where is it? Oh, Draconic Onslaught. Once per battle in your hero phase, this unit can make a normal move.
Yeah. Just boom. We're moving now.
Roll a dice if any enemy units are within 12 inches of this unit after that normal move is done. On a 2+, this unit can immediately attempt to charge.
Yeah.
So they have a 12-inch move. So if you are willing to let the enemy go first, if they had all moved towards you, you move forward 12 inches, and then try and charge them. But even if not, you could do that later in the game after you've, because we didn't touch on this. One of the other allegiance abilities is you pick a command ability, and there's a list of command abilities. They are call for aid, which is, and these are all once per battle.
Yeah.
You could do one of these things. One is call for aid. If a Redeemer unit from your army dies, you can immediately replace it with an identical unit. But it has to be placed wholly within 12 inches of a hero.
Yeah.
Steadfast March grants a run and charge. So you could have your dragons, go 12 inches and run on top of it, and then they'll probably be into combat relatively
yeah,
charge into combat, and then in the next round go Draconic Onslaught. We killed what was in front of us, now we're going after something else.
Yeah. The dragons
Steadfast March
are awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, this book is geared towards there are lots of cool things in this. All of the new stuff is great.
Let's talk about Krondus.
New Annihilators.
Let's talk about the big boys real quick.
Oh, okay.
That because I mean the two new dragons. Krondus is, he's the blue one. 18 wounds, 3+ save, with a passive -1 attacks, right? For weapons to target him.
Yeah, -1 for melee. Yeah,
that's a pretty tough dragon right there. 18 wounds, 3+ save, -1 attacks. He also pumps out. He's a spellcaster. Pumps out 2 spells a turn with a base starting with a +3 casting. Right.
Yeah. And he's got the breath.
His unique spell has a choice of 4 different debuffs. Yeah. What do you want to? What do you want to debuff? Where you got
that enemy fewer attacks with their shooting attacks, fewer, whatever.
Plus, he doesn't need to roll with his breath weapon, right? Mortal wounds on 5+. And then you throw in the fact that this army also has a game-breaking, lucky artifact that lets you,
I mean, he can't take that.
Right, but true, he can't take it. But so but D6 mortal wounds on 5+, without needing to roll to hit. Pretty good. He's got a potential damage output of 20. His brother's got more damage output, but they all have -2 rend flat damage. But you're looking at his tail slap. You want to crowd this thing? You want to crowd these big dragons with a bunch of the small stuff? You're gonna have to deal with their tails, because everything.
And here's the thing: is you have to be careful against, and it's both the big dragons have this tail slap.
Yeah.
That's is it 2 inches or 3 inches?
It's 3 inches, -2 rend, 2 damage.
So it's an attack for every model within 3 inches.
Yep.
Or something like that. But it doesn't have to go against those units. So you can charge into a bunch of small, hit a bunch of small, because you're a pretty big base, hit a bunch of small units, but also tag a big guy, and then tail slap the crap out of the big guy because there's lots of little guys around you.
Right, with -2 rend, 2 damage. I mean, you could wipe entire units, or you could hurt the big guy with...
You just go, hey, Nagash, you shouldn't have stood next to all those zombies.
Stardrake who? Yeah, these dragons are where it's
right,
at.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I've kind of come around to his brother is better. His brother is.
I like them both, but yes, you take away the spellcasting ability, but you give him the ability to improve with every hero he kills. With everything he kills, he improves, and he's got a much higher potential damage output with his base attacks.
Yeah, and if you throw a Nitroconus with the command trait, he's -1 to wound. When he gets into it, everybody's -1 attack to a minimum of 1. But a lot of things, I think of a lot of the big, excuse me, a lot of the big heroes don't have a ton of attacks. They've got a bunch of different profiles. So, you go into Durthu, and suddenly his 3 attacks with his damage 6 weapon is 2 attacks.
Yeah.
With that weapon. That are now -1 to wounds.
And the more he kills, the better he gets. He either heals or does more damage, or gets extra attacks. Yeah. I mean, depending on what he kills, but yeah, it's just he's a monster, literally.
Yeah, they are pretty awesome. It would be worth throwing the run and charge on him, and just throw him straight into the bad guys.
Yeah.
Get right across the board, alpha strike him turn 1.
Yep.
And then, they may eventually be able to kill him, but it's going to take him a long time.
And he's going to do some damage.
And he's going to do a crap ton of damage beforehand. And he's got that breath weapon. He moves 14 inches, so he's a little faster. Give him well, you can't give him both the run and charge, because that's a command ability, so you wouldn't also be able to give him the automatic 6 run.
Yeah.
But, there's the... Yeah, so, he's got 6 3s to hit, 1 plus to wound, Ren 3 damage attacks. So, with his annihilating jaws...
He's an angry dragon.
He's freaking...
he's a beast.
And I believe, Calamitous Tails. The Fires of Vengeance is where he gets better. Yeah, so, and you go Hammers to Sigmar, and now, as long as you're fighting over an objective, he's also got a 6-up ward save. And he's -1 to wound. These dudes are... Now, I think people are right. The meta pick is probably just spamming the little dragons.
Yeah.
They are, cheaper for, 285 points. You get just as many wounds. You don't get the -1 to attack. You don't get the special abilities. Your breath weapon isn't quite as long, but you get for 285 points, you get 2 dragons who have 8 of the dragon bite attacks together, or dragon claw attacks, I think they are.
Yeah.
The Ren 2 damage dragon attacks. Plus you get 8 of the dudes on top. Or, sorry, depending on whether you take lances or swords, it's 12 of the sword attacks or 6 of the lance attacks. If you're I know why people say take the swords, because a lot of them are going to want to put them in is it Celestial Vindicators? The guys who get the exploding 6s. I would not do that. I'd put them in Hammers to Sigmar every time.
People that take swords over the lances have never read Dragon Lance.
Yeah, well, and just you're going to almost always, especially if you're going to buff that to a 4-man unit of dragons, you're almost always going to wipe what you hit.
Yeah.
And want to charge again. So the few attacks, and the dragon is doing a ton of work. Yeah. The 8 attacks, or if you've got 4 dudes, the 16 attacks from the dragon's 2s and Ren 2 damage attacks are going to do a ton of work. So that if you've lost out on some attacks from the blades, I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm worried about them being able to hit. I'm worried about them being able to hit stuff and those things
disappear,
not get a save, yeah.
And be able to move on. So.
Right. So we'll see what works out in the meta, but I think the lances are going to be better, personally.
So all in all,
cooler.
What do you think of the tome? Is our first examples of 3rd edition battle tomes.
Yeah, I don't like the direction the battle tomes are going. I don't like. Here's the thing: if they had done what 40K did for 8th edition, and when the edition came out, they released an appendix for every army and reset every army like that. Because what they've done is they're toning down the armies, but they're only toning them down 2 at a time. So now these guys have, except for the dragons, which I think are going to be really great, every other, you know, everything is on now on the war scrolls. These armies have become substantially weaker than they were before, in my opinion. The individual models have, in some cases, become very powerful. But again, we're talking competitively here. Competitively, there are very limited builds you're going to be able to do with Stormcast and be competitive.
Yeah.
You're either going to spam dragons or you're going to spam annihilators. Possibly spam Vindictors and then just score as many points on objectives as you can before you get wiped out.
It's kind of the consensus that James and I came with the Orruk Warclans book. There's really, they give you options, 3 different builds for each one, but there's really only one competitive build, right, for each list. And
yeah, although I think Cruel Boys actually get 2 competitive builds. There's
Cruel Boys are still.
Do you want to be shooting?
Yeah.
Do you want to go shooting, or do you want to go hand to hand? If you want to go shooting, then you take the Yellers. If you want to go hand to hand, you take the other guys, the Grinning Blades or whatever.
Yeah, but
so that nobody but Sentinels can attack you on turn 1.
On turn 1,
and then you just bum rush them.
Right, but that's the sad part is that big Yellers are the only ones that have sustainable abilities past 1 turn.
I don't know.
And it's the only one that changes the battle line.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's true. They do have a limited foot sloggers. But here's the problem. The biggest problem I have with the Stormcast one, I think the Orruk Warclans was better. And that's because the Stormcast book is essentially, it's boring. The allegiance abilities and the command traits and all that stuff, it's just boring. There's, really there's just a few obvious, if you were going competitive again, there's just,
you're buying new
one
stuff.
Command trait you're going to take if you're doing dragons, and there's probably one you're going to do if you're doing Redeemer spam.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And there's literally only 2 artifacts worth taking of all, and you're either going to take the Silver Shield on your Nitroconus to keep him from getting shot, so all of your dragons always have their -1 to wound, or you're going to take the plate that makes you get to reroll saves against
not deluxe
damage better than 1. No, it's a once per battle.
It's a once per battle, but it's kind of it takes away the one equal factor in these games is the dice rolling.
Yeah, although Tzinch can do it so much better that it's not worth playing on that field.
That is true.
Yeah, so I think you're either going to take one of those 2, or you're going to take the, the Amulet of Destiny.
Yeah.
Although I would be seriously tempted if I were playing an army where I could fit 2 Nitroconuses in it. One of those would have the Arcane Tome, so his Ren 3 weapon could also be 3 damage. Because I'd give him flaming weapon.
Yeah.
And then flying around. Yeah, I got Ren 3 damage. I think the Celestin Prime can see some play. He's going to be super good coming down on turn. He doesn't even have to wait past turn 2, in my opinion, anymore.
Yeah.
You get coming down on turn 1, get 2 more attacks, 5 attacks that you can give him all an attack to get 2s and 2s, Ren 3 damage, and then your 4-up ward to keep you around to be able to keep doing those, and in your heroic action to heal to keep you on that board. Then you get to put your scepter and your 5 attacks to better use. Or in those cases where your army seems to be doing okay, you wait another turn and you're like, okay, I'll come down on turn 3 and just really clean up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would play with him, I think.
So all in all, it's kind of like the slow build for everybody, for the armies to equal out again, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which we've been talking again about our Path to Glory that we're working on. I was tempted by Deepkin, but I have a feeling they're going to be one of the first new battle tomes that we're going to get.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to totally cheese them up so that they're not good anymore. But
we're getting Beast,
we'll have to see.
Beast, or Maggotkin this fall, and then we're looking at.
There's got to be another tome that comes out with it. Usually
Yeah.
they like to release them two at a time, and Idneth are the second oldest battle tome now, so they would make sense to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but I mean,
Yeah,
also
I hope
a
it's
Death Army.
I hope it's chaos. I hope it's beasts because they need it more. One and two, I'm not ready to see my newly buffed up Maggotkin
Yeah, to go
back down.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, maybe we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and and the reason the Stormcasts are kind of lackluster in their allegiance abilities is because their war scrolls are super good.
Yeah.
If you look at point for point, if you compare Vindictors to what are you guys called? Not Slittas.
Gut Rippers?
Gut Rippers?
Yeah.
Point for point, Vindicators are way better than Gut Rippers.
Yeah, how much are you gonna win to Vindicators?
It's 130 for 5 and 10 wounds versus 180
for 10
for 10 guys and 20 wounds.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you would think, oh, the Gut Rippers are better, but no, I'm on a 3-up save versus a 5-up save.
Yeah.
We both cause mortal wounds, and
I have a chance of giving you -1 to hit. Yeah.
Yeah, which
not very likely on against.
Why?
Yeah.
When Lumineth just get it for free, they have to just be standing next to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, why don't you have it? Hey, as long as I've got at least 5 shields, I'm -1 hit, or as long as I got 10.
Yeah. Look at my scary shields.
Why don't I just have it?
Yeah, I gotta roll.
Why do I have to roll?
Yeah.
But I mean, so yeah, I think Vindictors are really good. Annihilators are amazing. I really like the double-handed ones.
Yeah.
6 of those double-handed ones coming into somebody's gonna clear stuff out.
I mean, the strength of Stormcast is that their troops are good, right? As where
their war scrolls are really.
Cruel Boys are like you take the troops because you have to, right? They're fodder.
And they need like overlapping buffs and stuff like that.
And then they're fodder and speed bumps for the big monsters. So.
Yeah, so we may find that future battle tomes have more flavor and more allegiance abilities because their units aren't as good.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But if this is the trend,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have to agree with you there. But I got enough that what I wanted out of the Cruel Boys. I was like, that's what I was looking for. The old Auric stuff didn't get debuffed too bad, and there are some pretty cool combinations for each of the armies in there. I think Bone Splitters got the shaft, but
I really hope Tzeentch is the next Chaos book.
Yeah.
Because if they take Tzeentch and tone it down to where we are here, that takes one of the big players and levels them out. That leaves then Lumineth and Sons of Bahamut and Seraphon kind of sitting on the top of the pile alone. And they're probably not going to get a book anytime soon because theirs are relatively new.
Right.
So that's kind of frustrating. Like I said, I wish they had just, if you were going to make this drastic a change, you should have done it to everybody at once.
Everybody across the board, yeah. I'm telling you, they need to FAQ
the
Feculent Gnarlmaw. They need to give the Feculent Gnarlmaw the Sylvaneth Wildwoods treatment.
Yeah,
because it's broken right now. But anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Went on a little longer than I thought we would, but yeah. So there's some playing it, but I'm not super happy with it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And I was planning next ITC season. I was planning on breaking them out and building them up, and I'm not. I'm going to get a new army.
Our buddy Dan's going to be doing the Dragon Army, so.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that.
I think that would be a super fun army, and I would do that if he weren't doing it.
Yep.
And if it weren't going to be the new Sons of Bahamut.
Yeah, it is.
I have a feeling that in
Dragons versus Giants is what's going to be.
There'll be 15% of the people you run into at a tournament will be Sons of Bahamut. Another 15% will be, or maybe more. I think Bahamut's actually something like 17% of the meta now. So it's like it's like, okay, on this table we've got Sons of Ammon. On this we've got dragons. On this table we've got Archeon. On this one we've got Nagash.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for tuning in. And what we got? You've got some stuff you usually do at the end of these episodes, Mike.
Yeah, we got some links down below for support. We have a Patreon page, although we're getting one that's setting one up specifically for this channel. It's for primarily for our other channel, but there's other ways. You can support us. We got our Amazon affiliate link down there. We got our merch link down below, and the biggest way you can support us right now is we're just growing this channel out. Is to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. So we really appreciate it.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next